This is the inside of the 2021 Benimar Mileo 286. If we firstly come to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on by firstly pressing this button and then this one here. Once we've done this, we can then turn the water pump on and off just here. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Next we have awning light on and off, and then buttons along the bottom mainly give us information. So this first one here will give us a condition of the leisure battery. This one here will give us a condition of the vehicle battery. This one will let us know how much water is in the fresh tank. When the waste tank needs emptying, a red light will flash just here to let you know. When your water level drops out of the amber into the red, this one will flash to let you know that you're getting low on water. And if either of the batteries were low, again you will get flashing lights to indicate. This last button here just controls the illumination of the control panel. This symbol here is letting us know that we have main supply connected to the motorhome. And then lastly up here, if I now started the engine, a light would come on to let you know that the alternator is charging the batteries. Below this control panel, we then have the Truma control panel for the heating and hot water system. At the moment you'll see that it's letting us know we are hooked up to main supply with a little picture of the 2-pin plug, and it's displaying the time. If I now press the button, it will illuminate and you can see a series of icons, and as I rotate they begin to flash. If we start with the first icon, this one here is for the heating. If we now click on it, heating is off. All we now do is just rotate and pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it will go right the way up to 30 degrees. Once you've decided, click again to store it in, and you'll see there's a flame above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you have set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, the flame will flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. After heating, we then have hot water. Again, click on it. Hot water is off. We can heat the water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. We can heat in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water extremely quickly. If you do perform this and the heating is running, it will turn the heating off, as it needs to use that extra power to perform the boost. Again, the icon will always continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. Our third icon is power source. So we are currently using main supply with the little picture of the 2 lightning strikes just up there, and that's mains electricity at 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, we can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, which is handy if we're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. We can run in dual fuel if we have both power sources available to us, so we can run on a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts or a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt. These settings here are extremely handy, especially in the winter months. If you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly, it will only use the gas as it's required. And then lastly, if we're fully off grid, we can solely run on gas. The last top icon is the circulation fan for the heating system. We can run it in eco mode, or we can turn it up to high, or if we don't have the heating on at all, we can just use it to vent the motorhome. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. If I now click on that, we can pick a start time and then an end, and then we just decide what we want on within that time period. And then lastly, timer on or off. If I now activate it, the timer icon will come up in the corner there, and now within that time period those settings would apply. If I go back to it, I can now turn it back off, and when we go back in, we can then alter it again. The next icon is just literally clock set, and then the last one is the settings menu. So within this we have offset, which is just for the thermostat just there. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of this screen, 12 or 24 hour clock. Language, index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels may throw up an error code. They will usually be something relatively basic, so it may be letting you know that it doesn't have main supply connected, or it doesn't have gas, etc. A warning will appear as a triangle and a series of numbers and letters. If you then look in the manual or Google it, it will then tell you what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, if you rectify the problem, the error code will just automatically disappear. If it hasn't done so, just double click on the warning triangle, and then sometimes it will say no error and then disappear. If you still have no luck, if you still have stuff running like I have at the moment, just turn them off, because it can always reassess a lot faster when it's not trying to do lots of things at once. If that still doesn't work, I always then just say do the factory reset, because sometimes that's all it requires. This particular system can also be run using the Troubleshooting app. If you are going to use that, you need to come to the iNet box, which is situated just above the fridge freezer. So the iNet box just sits here. Once you've downloaded the app onto your smartphone or tablet, you will need to launch the app. Make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on your device. It will firstly ask you to press the Bluetooth button on the top of the unit just here, and it will send the signal out and you will commence connecting up. Once you have connected, you will be able to control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth. If you want to control it from further afield, what you can do is purchase a pay-as-you-go SIM card, which slots in where my finger is here. Register it through the app, and then you can control your heating and hot water from much further away. Whilst we're up here, we also have the booster box for the Teleco aerial on the roof. There is no mast that needs to be raised up and down on these particular models. Literally just control your boost just here, and we have an on and off switch just here. It is then just a matter of installing a TV like this Avtex one just here. Plugs all in up there, and then just literally a matter of turning the television on and then tuning it in. These Avtex TVs are DVD players and also have USB connectivity as well. If we now remove the bench seat cushions just here, you will see that we have storage here. This is also the location for the battery charger just here. So this is what charges both vehicle and leisure battery when hooked up to the main supply. We then have trip switches just here. So we have the individual MCBs, main RCD and test button just there. So if something's not working on main supply, just come and check to see whether or not you've tripped. We then have the 12 volt fuses just there. So if something's not working on 12 volt, just check to see whether or not you've blown a fuse. And then we have the other part of the battery charging system just there. The solar panel is also linked up to this as well. Then it will flash away just there, as you can see, solar. And again, the solar panel will charge both batteries. Beside it we have the location for the Troubleshooting boiler. So this all just sits in here. Tucked down in the middle just here is the boiler drain valve. These particular drain valves are automatic, so if the temperature inside the van drops below about 3-4 degrees, that valve will automatically open up to drop any water out of the boiler to avoid frost damage. If you are going to manually drain it down for winterization, all you need to do is make sure the water pump is turned off and then twist this blue diamond, and when you do so, a blue button will pop out at the bottom, as you can see. To close it back up again, twist and push, and then it's just a matter of filling up the fresh water tank, turning on the water pump, and it will then begin to prime the system back up again. I always suggest that if you are draining down fully for winterization, that you open up all the taps as well to release any airlocks within the system. This will aid in draining off. So when re-priming yourself, you will need to then open up all the taps again to force all the air out of the system. Once they're then running freely, close them back down again, and then the system will fully prime. If this auto drains, all that will happen is the blue button will just pop out, and all you do is push it back in again to reset it. If it will not stay in, it's too cold within the motorhome, and you will need to turn your heating on to generate some heat to allow it to reset. The only time we're touching that blue diamond is when we are manually draining the system. If I now put the cushions back in place, we can then come behind the driver's seat just here, and you'll see there is a switch. This switch here is for the tank heater that is located in the waste tank. So if you are using the motorhome in cold climate and there's a danger of freezing, you can pop this on to avoid any frost damage occurring to the waste tank. The freshwater tank does not have a heater, as it is located inside the motorhome. So if I now just remove the cushion just here, I can show you. So if we now remove the cover just here, you'll see the fresh water tank. We also have the water pump just there. We can gain access inside the water tank just there for cleaning. If we are going to be using both travel seats, this part here folds away, and tucked just here there is a lever and another lever. Pull them simultaneously and it will then drop out of the way, and then we just pop the cushion back on again, and we then have our two travel seats. If we now just rotate round and just come to this window just here, you'll see this little device just here. This is a pressure switch. If you are using either the heating or the hot water on gas and you open this window, it will automatically cut out. The flue for the boiler sits underneath this window, so this device here stops you giving yourself carbon monoxide poisoning. If we now move along, we can come to the hob. So we have the electric hot plate here, which will work on main supply, operated on this knob just here. And then we have the two gas rings, and again it's just push in, twist and push the igniter. And then beneath that we have the oven and the grill. So push in to the left for the oven. And then if we push in to the right, we can then fire up the grill. Extract the fan above, so we have light on and off, and then fan itself on and off. Sink just here. Cutlery drawer just here. Also within the cutlery drawer you will find all the gas isolation taps for the motorhome. So we have the fridge, heating and hot water, the cooker and the barbecue point. They are all in the on position, and I always say they can stay like that. They are more for maintenance than anything else. If you do smell gas within the motorhome, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. We then have the Thetford fridge freezer on and off just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to main supply, it's put us onto mains with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I now went outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we start the engine, it will then automatically put itself over to 12 volt maintain to keep the fridge cool whilst on the move. We can take it out of auto just by holding this button down here and then arrowing, so I can manually put it onto mains, manually put it onto 12 volt maintain, or manually put it onto gas. Whenever there's a problem with the unit, so if I now pick 12 volt maintain, it will flash and you will get a red flashing light. This is just currently letting us know that the engine isn't running. But to be fair, auto is the easiest setting to have it on. Temperature control next. Then we have the fridge and the freezer compartment. And we have the lower pull-out section as well. As we move closer to the rear, we have the microwave just here. Again, this will only work on main supply. Power setting just here, and then on and off just here. Above my head, just here, is the Omnivent fan. To operate this, firstly, open the roof vent by twisting. Middle button then turns the unit on. And then we have arrows out for extraction, arrows in for cooling, variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure all roof vents are closed for travel. Next we have the washroom. So we have the toilet just here. To open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across. Push to flush just here. And then close back up again. If this is left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you feel resistance, Just make sure nobody's left this lever open. We then have the level indicator just there, so that will rotate round to red when the cassette is full. We then have the basin just here, and the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is fully secured for travel. Tucked right at the back we have a very large wardrobe, and the light switch for in here is just tucked underneath the vanity unit in the corner. We have another wardrobe just here. This also displays the makeup of the lower bed as well. Pull down steps to get right into the back of the wardrobe, and we can also gain access to the garage space just here. With the electric drop down bed, we can lower and raise it on this button just here. We can have it in the higher position, and then we just use the ladder to get in and out. It does have all netting that can be hooked to the ceiling if it's going to be in the higher position. We have the light bar just there. If we are going to have it in its lower position, we need to make sure that we have the cushions out of the way, and that we also have these lower lights turned off, because if they're left on, you may run the risk of scorching your upholstery. If this bed was to malfunction in any way, it can be manually wound up or down. This is done just here. So if we remove the cover, you'll see that there's a 13mm nut just there, and you are supplied with a winding tool. For the lower bed, you will need to get the boards from the garage. As you can now see, I've already now just put one in place. This is the one that has this black rubber stopper that just drops in the middle there. And then with the second one, you'll see that we then pop this one on just here. So we then end up like this. If we now start moving out the cushions, we then pop the infill in just there, and then we have a nice large double bed.